The love and care provided by families is the foundation of all societies. Family love and care is essential for human survival, yet we often take it for granted. Even the strongest love can be stretched to the breaking point when a family must provide year-round, 24-hour care for a loved one. Marriages often fall victim to the stress. The divorce rate among couples who provide 24-hour care for a loved one is more than 80%. Even under the best of circumstances, the role of a primary care provider can be difficult. If there is no one to share the responsibility, the job can be almost impossible. Caring for a child with chronic illness or severe emotional or physical disabilities can strip a family of its energy and financial resources. So can looking after a loved one with Alzheimer's disease. Faced with overwhelming physical, emotional, and financial challenges, families often have nowhere to turn. The same is true for families in crisis who may be struggling with substance abuse, poverty, or domestic violence. These families need respite, short-term, temporary relief that can make a world of difference.
Okay, 1, 2.
Respite care can be delivered in many ways. Some families want a care provider to remain in the home for a few hours, allowing the primary caregiver time to tend to other matters or simply rest. Other families may wish to have the care provider take the child or adult on an outing. Respite visits may be on a regular schedule, or respite can be available for emergency or crisis situations. Either way, respite provides the time off, the relief, the respite that families need. Respite programs in communities around the nation help families in a variety of ways. In the Bronx and New York City, a crisis nursery offers round-the-clock respite care.
Imagine a homeless family that is, amongst the youngest, amongst the poorest, amongst the less prepared of the welfare population. They encounter lots of different stresses that affect not only them as parents, but their children as well.
I was battered. I was weak. I was just a zombie, just a shell, an empty shell, walking around, just trying to survive day to day. Well, I made sure the children were clean, they were fed, but I forgot about the loving, the nurturing, the teaching. I forgot all of that.
We have families who are facing crises such as stress for many reasons, monetary, housing, drugs. We have families with major health problems, maybe families that are going into the hospital for a short period, and they do not have a safe haven.
And so this idea of a crisis nursery came out of that need to respond to families who were in, sort of a more protracted kind of a crisis and really needed some sort of help to keep their children safe, as well as to start dealing with a lot of the underlying issues that were causing them to place their children at any kind of risk or risk of abuse or of neglect.
It's real homey. It's someplace you would want your children to be. They read to them, just bathe them, feed them, they play, they have a schedule, and it's like a family thing.
Do you have any questions for me or anything?
Parents who use the crisis nursery are encouraged to use other available services, such as parenting classes and career counseling. Every program aims to help parents become self-sufficient.
The parent support group is another family support for these families. The parents themselves wanted to develop it.
What the crisis nursery does is say, you now need to take responsibility for your life, and if it's not out there for you, you need to make it happen.
And thanks to the crisis nursery, I made it. I survived. Want some coffee?
Just a few hours of relief can make a world of difference for someone caring for a loved one, day in and day out. Shirley Reed's father was paralyzed by a stroke.
He cannot use his hands at all. So it's when he has the constant, itching of the face and the hair, Because there are times when I'm up, 4:30 in the morning, it might be 2:30. And then you're up about an hour. You might lay back down, and then you're up again. It all depends on, how well he'll sleep.
Shirley's adult daughters take turns caring for their grandfather, giving their mother time to sleep.
As long as she has a break, if not daily, then every other day or at least 3 times a week, then it would just make you preventive. She would be able to go a lot longer.
Keep going, keep going, keep going. As an individual, the only way that I can keep my sanity is to have outside help. Now, there we go, Mama.
Alzheimer's disease affects hundreds of thousands of older Americans. Jean Pijou cares for her mother and her husband. Both have Alzheimer's.
You marry someone for better or for worse, right? This is the worst part of it. And so you stay by them until death do you part. And I just feel that this is my job because I love my husband. I mean, we've been together 29 years. I'm not going to put him in a nursing home now and just forget about him.
Walk all the way over to your chair.
There's about 6 different people that I have. I can't just have one person in my home. I have to have one for my mother and one for my husband because they both demand, complete attention. And to keep my health, I have to get extra help. I have to get support. You have to have the respite care.
You found a tea yet?
Whole families benefit from respite care. Children who may be at risk in homes where there is alcohol or substance abuse find a loving haven. Their parents find counseling and support groups. The goal is to help families stabilize and survive.
Oh yeah, my family wouldn't be together, wouldn't have stayed together if I hadn't been referred to the nursery. There's no way.
If we want people to be successful, we really need to be listening to them. And one of the wonderful things about the respite care centers is that they really do listen to parents. They're really the partners in dealing and working with children and families.
Does that help? I got it.
So I just really feel like that, as long as there's programs in all these communities to educate parents, this is the best type of prevention there is as far as, child abuse and neglect.
Respite care preserves families, regardless of where they live, their economic status, or ethnic background. And stronger families make for stronger, healthier communities.
The family, as a nucleus for the tribe, always has looked towards all members of the family as being important, whether it's the elderly or the very young or those that are disabled somewhat. They're always taken care of by the whole family. This is a place where trust can be built on, that families can find a safe place here, a place of confidentiality, a place where the culture of the tribe will not be violated.
Yeah, respite did help keep my family together, really a lot better than I could by myself.
That's a theme heard in respite communities around the nation, in small towns and rural areas, as well as cities.
Respite saved our family. We were on a self-destruct path because in these types of situations, when you are constantly in crisis without ever having the opportunity to step back just for 5 minutes, what happens is the whole family is in crisis.
Is that still an option?
Yes.
Is that something you'd like for him to do?
Respite succeeds because the primary caregivers, the family, decide what services they need.
A lot of times you're going to have agencies going into the home who say, this is what your child needs, this is what you need to do. And we operate off of the model that mom or dad knows best, and the primary caregiver, they're with this child, we're not, 24 hours a day, and they do know best.
Annie Kate is 7.5 years old. She's autistic, and she's full-time, I don't want to use the word chore, but it takes complete, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a total job to watch her. You get to the point where you can't think anymore. You feel like you don't have your own life anymore. You feel like you don't have a married life anymore, because it's constant vigilance. And what respite has been for us is just a chance for a breather.
There are many families that I have known of that were close to institutionalizing their children because they just couldn't, they were burnt out. The 24-hour care was just getting to them.
You can see a difference in the family after you've provided respite. There's usually lots of sighs of relief. When you come back, there's the happiness to see the child again. And it's just been maybe 1 or 2 hours, but the joy's back again in having that child. And that break has really done somebody a lot of good. Even if they just sat and watched TV or, maybe got to clean the house without someone underfoot, the happiness and the love is back in the face again. And that helps the child as well as the parent.
What were you doing inside?
Parents often feel alone when coping with a child with special emotional needs. Couples can regain their peace of mind through respite.
The respite program has allowed us to not necessarily be like every other family, but be happy as our family.
When you see someone else enjoy your child,
lift it up.
Sometimes it makes you enjoy your child even more. And that's something respite has given us. And I guess if we didn't have respite, it would go back to feeling as though we were alone in this by ourselves to take care of everything. Respite has made it so we're not alone in that. And I can't imagine what it would be like to go back to feeling like I was alone. Just Marta and Annie Kate and me.
I believe that respite helps keep the family intact. Time and time again, when I'm with a family, I've left a home with a parent crying, saying, "You don't know what your 2 hours has done for me." And I believe respite is the answer for these families.
Should other communities get involved, start their own programs? Absolutely. Should you approach your local politicians to seek funding? Absolutely. Because this is something that makes a difference. This is a lot more than lip service. It makes a difference.
The status and future of the American family is a national issue. Yet people realize that the most effective family-building programs come from the communities we live in. Respite is a community-based answer for situations that often devastate families. When there's no respite, families and communities suffer. The Arch National Resource Center helps communities create respite programs. Arch helps through networking and sharing ideas and expertise. But every respite program is a local solution. Respite, relief that makes a world of difference.